This is Kota Tinggi. Although it might seem like an ordinary town you'd see in Malaysia, it's one of the most historically rich towns of Johor, with its history starting from the early 16th century, being the start to the Johor Kingdom and even once being capital of Johor as well. Ruins, tombs, legends fill this quaint town to the brim, with famous stories such as Sultan Mahmud Mangkat di Julang, Cik Siti Aminah and many more. However, the town itself is now forgotten, its glorious past and rich history seemingly reduced, with people not knowing actually the significance of Kota Tinggi in our history, stagnating its cultural development. Our site itself is located in the educational district of Kota Tinggi town, with bustling amounts of schools concentrated in our site. Now let's look into some facts. The conventional Malaysian education system is structurally rigid, where a focus on STEM-related subjects is very apparent in our schools, and arts are never a focal point. It doesn't allow students to be critical thinkers or to be creative from a review by UNESCO. Hence my proposal, a building that responds to the forgotten glory days of Kota Tinggi and the rigid Malaysian education system through a library and theatre. Hello, my name is Angie Lee, and this is The Storyteller, a contrasting blend of two vastly different typologies, a library and theatre, that represents itself as a solution to the lack of underappreciated culture and creativity, through two contrasting elements, books and plays. So now let me bring you into the design narrative of my project. I started analysing literature and filmography inspired by Kota Tinggi, and what I came up with was that the written manuscripts acted as a base, a source of knowledge that was mostly experienced individually, while plays and films were expressive and visual, experienced collectively. While both are quite different, they complemented each other. After that, I further analysed how the books and plays were written, using the story of Sultan Mahmud Mangkat di Julang, the most famous tale from Kota Tinggi as a basis. I started dissecting the film from a compositional and written standpoint. And what I analysed was that the stories were structured by an exposition, climax, and denouement, which I applied into my design spatially. The narrative is then spatially translated, where on a spatial experience, users are brought into my space through such as of a story, through exposition, a ground floor area of shared open spaces of both the library and sunken performance space, easing the users into this magical story. Then the climax, a staircase that is exerting that brings users up into the tipping point, the denouement, a library and theatre. Now let's get into my design development. I began with raising my building up by 1.5 meters due to the site being prone to flooding and to allow outdoor seating areas facing the river. Then a structural grid of 4.5 meters to hold the spaces, using a mix of both tangam and steel hanger jointings. Then two staircases are placed on both facades, acting as the climax of the story, bringing the users up into the main spaces. Then my basic form, two cubes representing the story and the teller, where both are exactly the same size and shape, just like how books and films are. However, what it contains interiorly are contrastingly different. The library cube holds another floating cube inside that represents knowledge, permanence, tradition, with traditional materials forming it, where the theatre is represented by a sphere made from polycarbonate and steel, sort of bringing the users to a whole new experience and universe while they experience the plays collectively, while a translucent holographic hanging cube sits in between the main spaces, connecting them. Next, I treated the facades with vertical and horizontal louvers, as well as recessed spaces, protecting the interior from sunlight, especially on the library area. Interiorly, many of the spaces have sliding windows and open corridors, connecting them, allowing for natural ventilation. So now let's get into my planning. I allowed for a more pedestrian-friendly approach in my building, with the frontal area facing the river, void of any vehicular lanes, allocating two drop-offs, in the centre back and right side here, where parking is allocated at the side as well. Next, going into the ground floor plan, I have several main spaces, mainly the cafe and outdoor eating area, second performance space, community library, as well as services such as the toilets, lift, prayer rooms, risers are located in the back. Well, I located the TNB substation and refuels here. Next, for the first floor, a pair of staircases flanks the front and rear of the building, easing vertical circulation for both main spaces. The first floor is the main space for the library, where the main circulation counter is here. The central space has a staircase leading up into the floating cube library, while specially designed outdoor reading areas surround it. While the arena theatre has 4 main entries, one entry serving the backstage area. Well, on the second floor, the main spaces are the theatre admin office, upper gallery seating area, technical rooms. The hanging cube interpretation center is accessed from here, and the main library with outdoor seating areas are here. The third floor mainly has the event space featuring the top of the sphere, discussion rooms, meeting rooms, and the librarian offices. Next, these are my elevation and sections, and now we go into the spatial experience of these spaces. The ground floor library is much casual, with full-height bookcases enveloping the space, accessed by roller ladders, and also a central sunken reading area is here. The outdoor dining area and performance area has the cube and sphere hanging above, giving this space an interactive experience. And now we go into the floating cube that stores the knowledge of Kota Tinggi, a full-height bookcase wall of 420 grids made from timber. A staircase links the triple volume spaces with perforated roofs scattering light into the space. And this is the view inside the floating cube. The outdoor reading areas that surround it, fitted with self-adjustable cranks for table height and blinds. And this is the interior experience of the library. Next, the sphere, which tells the story of Kota Tinggi, a centralized sphere fitted with a hydraulic stage, upper gallery sitting area, and sphere LED screen. Exteriorly, you are just amazed with this huge daunting structure, where interiorly you are just as amazed with this beautiful structure. And next, the hanging cube, which connects the spaces. Made from acrylic holographic sheets with huge volumetric spaces, a 360 experience of the stories, where it hangs by support of cables. When not in operation, the cube is just translucent, becoming a connection between the spaces. Where on the ground floor level, the cube hangs above and is able to project any media needed for performances. Interiorly, the 360 experience transports users to a whole new experience. And again, this is the storyteller. Thank you.